Good morning. You can see my screen. Great. Good morning, everyone. This is Lori Lytle with Mortgage Coach, and welcome to Training Thursday. So today what we're going to work on is just comparison between a fixed and an ARM, so we can really understand those ARM products. And we'll dive into those, showing you worst and best case and how to really do the comparisons with the ARMs. So with that, what I would like you to do is open up your question area in GoToMeeting. I would like you to let me know where you're from, what company, what state. Just go ahead and put in the lender name and state. Gives me an idea where you're from. Also, I could address questions if you're on an enterprise account, that type of thing. So if you open your GoToMeeting, please place that information in the question area. Also, all right, Finance of America, we're also working closely with that account. Great, Colorado. Perfect. Welcome, Andrew. I also would like you to work with the question area. Let me know what you want to see. This is Training Thursday, and I want to be able to focus some of our training on the questions that you may have an edge. So please use the question area for that. And welcome, Charles, Boston, Massachusetts. Great, got some East Coast people here. And let's go ahead and start. You'll notice that I have my mobile device in the lower left-hand corner here. This way, as we're talking about the presentation, you can also see how we could drive that mobile device. So when they click on the link for the mobile, they just press I understand, and then they'll be able to view the presentation. What I want to do today is let's go ahead on the desktop presentation. If you look in the lower right-hand corner, there's a share button. That share button is a quick way of grabbing that link. So I'm going to grab that link and place it in the chat area. And with that, you could go ahead and click on this link, and you'd be able to have that report driven by me. So as we're working with that presentation, it will highlight on your desktop as well as open up the different areas. So you'll experience just what your borrowers will experience. So with that, let's go ahead and discuss the product, and then we'll dive in on how we could build it and answer any questions you may have on ARM products with comparison and edge. So with that, let's go ahead and just show what's the same for all of the products. So we have the same loan amount, we have the same term, and you'll notice that the cash to close is the same as well. We're doing 20% down, and they happen to have the same fees. So these are the three items that are the same for each of the products. So you can see how on our fixed rate product, we have it at 4% down. Okay, great. Okay, Dave, real quick before we move, looking at my question areas, Dave wants to learn how to put a video on the mobile, and not quite sure what cost analysis. Oh, add to the cost analysis. Not a problem. We will be showing the mobile and how you can record a video. So that's perfect, Dave. We'll be able to show you that today. So with that, I'm going back to the product. So we're comparing a 4% to a 3% ARM product. You'll notice I have two ARM products side by side. One's labeled worst and the other best. And the reason for that is worst and best is showing the borrower the potential changes that can happen to their ARM product. Best is described for when the adjustments go to the fully indexed rate. This is how the APR is calculated. You can look in the payment stream here. You can see how the rate at 3% is fixed for that 60 months, and then the following month it will go to the fully indexed rate. In this case, the fully indexed rate is less than those adjustments, so it just stops at that point, and the payment is the same for the remainder of the loan. Now let's take a look at the worst case. So in the worst case in this ARM product, you'll be able to see that I have 60 months at 3%, and then this particular ARM product has a first adjustment at 5%, which is the full ceiling. So you can see at that 8% mark the remainder of the payments. So this can show them at the worst potential rate change. So in 5 years, if the rates go crazy between now and then, it potentially can increase to 8%, 5% over 3. So you get that, and you could see the differences in that short-term savings. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the short-term to really be able to explain and educate the difference after that 5-year mark. So now with that, you can see how basically for those first 5 years that the interest rate is set. So we have it at 3%. You can see the monthly amount of savings is $156 a month over that fixed rate product. So that's for the first 5 years how they're gaining. And the next savings over 60 months, let's go ahead and take a look at this. And Dave, yes, this is recorded. And we will be posting this on our coaching call page. And I'll show you at the end where you can access that as well. So with the savings over 60 months, let's take a look at that. You'll notice that numbers here for both the 5-1 worst and best are the same. And the reason why they're the same right now is because the rate hasn't made any changes. So they're the exact same product. Let's take a look when we go into that more info button. And you can see with the interest, how much interest, and there's no mortgage insurance on this product. I have 20% down. So that's how much interest is being charged over that 60-month period. You can also then see how my closing costs are exactly the same. Once we add those figures together, you get the total cost of the loan, and this is the total unrecoverable cost. So interest and closing points they're not getting back. So with that, we do the comparison, and you can see how much they're saving over that fixed rate loan. So one of the questions you have is the goals of the borrower. When do they plan to move? So if they plan to be moving in less than 60 months, definitely an ARM product is the way to go. You can see how much more savings that they have. Now let's take a look at the interest and MI paid over 15 years. So this is a quick snapshot of a longer period. Not only that, you have that 15-year period, it has taken into account that interest rate change. So now take a look below. You can see how with that interest rate at 8%, because potentially that ARM product can move that high, how much they're paying, $222,000 versus that fully indexed rate of 112. So you can really see that power of the interest rate and how it changes. So this way the borrower will be able to be understand the product and the ARM products a little more in detail. Opening up that more info button in that long term, you could see how we have that home value. We also show the loan balance at the end of that period, how much equity they have accrued, the total principal amount that they've also been paid toward that loan, and the total pity payment. So there's a lot of details and information behind that long-term area here. Okay, just one moment. I do have a question from Andrew. Oh, yes, we can, Andrew. Okay, Andrew is asking is, while sharing this with a client, is there a way we can adjust the rate or down payment or add additional payments on the screen while we're sharing with the client live? Or will we go back to update the products, then resend? No, Andrew, that is what is called Edge Live. And if you click on the link below, in the chat area, you can experience that not only how I'm driving the presentation with the highlights and opening the more info, all that would be driven for you. You can also make changes live to the data. So when we go in here, we'll make changes. We'll change the down payment so it gives you an idea how you can do that. The link is updated. You do not have to send a new link to the borrower. So again, you can get all that information in the discussion while you're on the phone with the borrower. So yeah, we'll be covering that toward the end. So that's called Edge Live. So with that, I also want to point out I am on the loan officer's copy, and you'll notice at the very base there's a clear all button. That's how you know it's your presentation versus a borrower's presentation, and the fact that you can highlight. You see how you can hover your mouse over a field, you'll see the cell being highlighted. If I left click, it highlights. If I left click again, the highlight is removed. You can also remove the highlights all at once with the clear all button, and that will remove all the highlights. It also removes all the highlights as well on your mobile device. So let me go ahead and open that up, and you can see how the highlights have changed on the mobile as well. Just one moment, I have another question. Okay, when we go, Nina has a question about getting the current index and margin info for this presentation. When we go in and build this presentation, I'll show you how you could build a product template for an ARM. The index, we do have a drop-down list of all the index percentage, but the margin would be a figure that would come from your company, because the margins are different for all products and they're different for each company. So we will show you how that is done and how you develop this ARM product within Edge. So we'll definitely cover that, Nina. Thank you. Okay, so for now what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and dive into Edge and show you how you can create this product, and then we'll answer those questions about the margin and the ARM, how you could develop a worst case product versus a best case product. And then when we're done with that, we'll go ahead and cover Edge Live, recording the mobile video, and then also making changes within Edge. So if what I have done, let's go ahead and move my mobile off the screen. Okay, there we go. And then with that, this is your home screen in Edge. If you're just new to Mortgage Coach, want to point out a couple items. You can always access the files directly on the screen, and if you're brand new, we do provide samples in there, so you'll be able to see those as well and see how those presentations are filled out. Point out the settings. Settings, this is where you can go ahead and make sure your contact information is updated. Image, we're getting a lot of presentations without images. Please make sure you upload your image within your settings tab. We're going to discuss these fee and product templates, and these product templates is what we're going to develop, Nina, and be able to get that index in there for you. Want to point out report templates. I did have a couple questions during the week that I was helping people out on, and that's the disclosure language. So at the very base, you can customize the disclosure language. If you're on an enterprise account like Finance America, you might have some language already defaulted, same with Umpqua. And you can't edit. You won't have this button. They've taken care of that for you, so if you're unable to make these changes, your company has created or put in the disclosure language that are necessary for the presentations. So really quick, let me go back to a presentation just to show you where this information is. In the lower left-hand corner, you'll have your disclosure, and you can see how that information will display. This is the first thing that the borrower will see on the mobile device as well as the desktop version. They'll have to click I understand before they can get into the presentation to view it. So this is the information. If you're a compliance department, says you have to make any modifications, don't worry, it's all done in Edge in that report template tab. And if you need assistance, just email us at support@mortgagecoach.com and we can help you with that. So now let's go ahead and dive in and create this presentation. And it shouldn't take that long, and then we'll spend the rest of the hour on Edge Live as well as the video. So let's go to new client. So I'm going to go ahead and just place in a name. Also, if you want to create any type of marketing reports versus an individual report, the marketing button will just remove those borrowers' names and just provide your report headline just to make it cleaner, easier for you. And then you can always open it back up and get that name. Want to point out on the two types of presentations, we're developing a total cost analysis. So you want to keep it on own. But if you want to be able to do a rent versus own presentation for those new home buyers, if you click on rent, that changes the presentations that you're working on, and now you'll have a rent versus own. And always remember, anytime you create a presentation, you can have a total cost analysis, and then you can always change it to a rent versus own. You always have these two presentations for one data set. Now just let's move on to the last three fields. You have a referral if you want to capture it. And a partner email. What that will be is, say if you have a partner you're working with and they want to receive those email alerts. And the email alerts you receive after a borrower has viewed a presentation, they've closed the presentation, and you'll receive that email alert. So we'll get one later in the call, and I'll be able to show you that. But that's when it's time to reach out to the borrower. They viewed your presentation, and you can answer any questions. So this way, the partner can receive those email alerts as well. And friendly name. This is just to put a, just a moment. Let me type it first. Thursday. And what this is just a reference name. And a lot of times what you could do is place just either purchase, refi. I'm saying this is my Training Thursday presentation. When you're working with open house flyers, put in the property address because there is a copy function, and this way I'll let you know what presentation it is for you to copy. So great to get in the habit of putting that friendly name. I'm going to go ahead and mark it as purchase new home. Let's do it for $350,000. And it just dawned on me I might be going a little fast. So as you're going through these, I'm only going to use the fields necessary to create a presentation. We have many fields that as you use it, you could build out the presentations more in the sense of knowing DTI and things like that. Right now, let's just create a basic scenario so it shows you how you can get in and out of Edge rather quickly. Also want to point out you can place notes in this area in the lower right-hand corner. And this way you can always keep the notes here, and you can see as I advance my screen, the notes stay with you. So if you want to just put any kind of notes in there just as reminders, just place them in that area. I'm going to leave the affordability empty for now. No, actually, Edward is questioning. Let's go back to that first screen. This partner email, no, I believe it's been around for quite some time, so I'm sorry if you didn't hear that, but you definitely can, they will receive the email alert. So definitely can do that, and you can place the real estate agent, anyone on there. If you have loan assistants as well or processors, you can put their email alert, address in there, and they'll receive the alerts as well. So let's go back to the affordability section, and you notice, you know, instead of just going left to right with the arrows, you can hop around and move around this system rather quickly by hovering your mouse over the ribbon at the base, and then you could just select the jump outs. So it lets you move around quicker and easier within Edge. So with those screens, I was where I had left off was the affordability. Just items, if you do fill out this information, it provides you the debt to income ratio. So why not? Let's just put the information in. So I'm going to say they make $95,000 and they have $500 in non-mortgage debt. So this will just provide you a quick estimate of what that debt to income ratio is when we get to our product. So it's good information if you're working with your borrowers and collecting it. This way it would provide that information and you have it at your fingertips. Same with the savings balance. So say if I put in $25,000 and I'm saying a nominal rate of 0.25. This will help you out with the cash to close. And again, I'll show you where you can see that. Tax bracket, if you want to show the tax benefit, you could go ahead and enter that tax bracket. And if you're not quite sure what tax bracket, just click on Find Tax Bracket. It just opens to a new web page. Identify the tax year, their filing status, and you can get an estimate of the tax bracket. So maybe at the end we'll go ahead and include the tax percentage here so it will show you on the presentation how that looks. So for now I'm going to leave it empty. And for those of you who do MCC tax credit loans, we have the capability of doing those as well. So you'll be able to compare with MCC and without. So that's a great way of being able to show them the advantage of those MCC credits. Data field. So I'm just going to go ahead and bypass this. Again, it's just data collection for the borrower. And now let's start building our product. So with that, the first thing you want to do is put in your title. So you want your title to place in here. It needs to be limited to 12 characters. And Edward, that is federal, so for the tax benefit for right now, because that's where the interest can be written off of. So what we're going to do is place in a title. I'm just putting fixed, and I just put in 30-year. Let's go ahead and put in that purchase amount. And how much did I put in here? Yeah, $350. You'll notice that when I jumped over to the assumptions, my products had an exclamation mark. I want to point out, anytime you get an exclamation mark, it's just because there's fields that are left zero. Any of these fields in red, if they have a zero or an empty in there, you will get that exclamation mark at the base. So it's not an error, it's just a reminder. Please go back and take a look at your data in those fields. So let's put in $350,000. You'll see the percentage. Let's just put in 20%. It makes it rather quick, easy. Interest rate, I'm putting at 4%, and my term at 360. The data that we're filling in here, we're going to use for our next two products, and we're going to use the copy function. Again, it's going to speed you up building these product templates. Oh, here's my email alert. Someone just closed my presentation. So with that, let's advance the screen. You'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, our graphs are being built, as well as the debt-to-income ratio below that, and the LTV. So you can see that right here. So now I'm coming in and I'm placing in an estimate of 15 days prepaid interest, which this can be part of your default. Now let's go to our closing cost details. So with our fee templates, you being on a enterprise account, you might have some fee templates built for you. And if you don't, you can always contact us at support. We can help develop branch fee templates on the enterprise account. Some companies, I know, Umpqua, you might have one template in here that they provided you, and then you would make your modifications from that. But either way, anytime you have a fee template, if you have anything in the drop-down, choose it, because it will go ahead and start you off with fees, and then you can make the modifications, save your own template. So let's go ahead and pull down a fee template, and let me show you how that is done. So with this, I brought down my fee template. If any of the fees, if you had a fee template, were different, so say maybe they provided a fee template of $450, but my office charges $475. My tax service is actually $76.50. So you can see how I can make the modifications to those fee templates. And when I'm done, I can save my own template. So before I do that, a lot of times people leave the lender's title and owner's title empty because those are so variable from loan amount and loan product. So one, just to show you, if you do know the percentage, you could go ahead and place that percentage in there, and you can see how it will calculate on each loan. So if you know an estimate percentage, you definitely can use that, and you can always add padding. So say if it was 0.35, but I wanted to include an extra 150 just to be sure. And again, remember, this is an estimate to the borrower. You can see how it provides that percentage and the dollar amount to provide that total amount. So you have two fields you can work with, and you can develop this in your fee template as well. And so let's just go ahead and put in another 1,000, whoa, 10,000 for the owner's title. And again, you can also, you see the column where you can change the fee to reflect borrower, lender, seller. And then I also want to point out the APR column. Make sure you have all the fees that are APR fees marked. Doing refis, you can add the fee to the loan amount. Also, there is a box to do that rather quickly. So I want to point that out. And PPE, what PPE stands for is prepaid escrows. Any fee that, or I guess it wouldn't be a fee, any item that is not a cost to the loan, sort of like prepaid escrows, items like that, you would want to mark it as a prepaid escrow box, because this way it's not a fee, and we don't want it part of that short-term savings area, because that only focuses on unrecoverable costs. So if it's not a fee, make sure it's marked PPE. And you'll notice I do not have any reserves currently in my template, which is okay, because in our next screen, I'll show you how you can have those, add those monthly reserves. So with that, once you have done, you'll notice at the very bottom, there is Save as Template. When I click on Save as Template, you can start developing your own templates. And if you are on an enterprise account and they do have fee templates for you, if you want your fee templates that you modified up at the top of the list, just go ahead and put, say, an asterisk or some symbol, because it does go in alpha order, and the symbols will be at the top of the list. So say if I did that and I put conventional fixed, and it's purchase, I have my owner's title in there. And if you originate multiple states, you could go ahead and select the state as well and build fee templates for all your different products. So once I say OK, you'll now see that your fee template is built and saved in your drop-down. When I go into our next product, you'll see that this will be resorted and the asterisk will be at the top of the list. When we go into the next product too, I'll show you how you can add a fee and add a custom fee. So this way, if you do not have fee templates, you'll know how to build them. So let's go ahead and apply this to the loan. And you'll see now that the fields on the outside have been grayed out. So if you ever want to make any changes to those grayed out fields, just remember, go into the closing costs, make your adjustments here. Prepaid escrows, you'll notice it's 0 here as well. So the way you can modify prepaid escrows to get that, which is rather quite simple, is to go ahead and put in your monthly costs here. So let's open up these percentage fields. I'm just putting an estimate right now of how much my hazard would be on a monthly basis, as well as my property tax. So now that I have my monthly costs, down at the base, I have my fields for reserve. So say if you want 2 months hazard and then 4 months taxes. And we also have the 12-month premium to collect. So once I've updated this information in my monthly cost screen, you'll notice when you go back a screen, you'll have your prepaid escrows. So with that, it has totaled the amount. And now if we go into our closing cost details, you can see at the very bottom that we have added 3 line items. We've added our reserve for hazard and taxes, and then we have that 12 months premium. You can see how they're grayed out because these numbers are controlled out of the monthly cost screen. So with that, if you want any adjustments, you can make it in the monthly cost. Say you don't want hazard insurance. If I delete it from here, it does work in conjunction with the monthly cost. So let me show you. If I apply to loan, advance the screen, you'll notice that my box for the 12-month premium has been removed. So you can see how those fields go hand in hand with each other. So now let's go ahead and build our ARM product. And this is going to go a lot quicker now because we are going to use that copy from function. So let's say it's a 5-1 ARM, and this is where we're going to build our ARM templates. And we'll do the best case first. So with that, we don't want to start out just with our basic. I'm going to go ahead and go to my copy from, and I want to start with my fixed rate product. Once we have done this, what we'll do is we'll use the drop downs afterwards and use the product template for our worst case, so you can see how once you build a product and save a template, how to use that template. So now let's make the modifications. We're going to go ahead and keep it at 20%, but we're going to change our interest rate to 3%, and we're going to keep our term at 360. But the one item you want to do is change it from fixed to ARM. And what that will do is as we advance the screen, you'll also notice the graph has been updated up at the top. The next screen you're going to see is an ARM detail screen. And once we fill out this information for the details, you can save this as a template, a product template. So the next time you do a 5-1 ARM, use that product template, and it will save you a lot of time. So this is where you find that information, Nina, about the index percentage. So let's go ahead and at the first adjustment cap, this is going to be a 525 ARM with the first adjustment is going to have 5% potential. First adjustment month, we're going to place 61 in here. And that is the month when the rate takes effect. So it's fixed for 60 months. 61st month is when the rate has increased. After the first adjustment of 5, I can potentially change 2% every year thereafter. Now we want to put that 12-month period in there. So it's fixed for 60 months, and then it changes every 12 months. What's my maximum rate? I started with 3, 5. We're going to put 8% in here. And this is the margin percentage. I've been seeing anywhere between 2.25 and 2.5. You just go ahead and place that margin, whatever it may be. And those usually don't change too often. So when you develop your product template, you could go ahead and default that. And you can always update your product template as your margins change. And this is where it's easy to get the index percentage. So if you go into that drop down, what we have is a list of all the different indices, and they have the current figure with it. So if I select the 1-year LIBOR, you can see how the index percentage I selected, and it will go ahead and place that amount in there. So that's how you'll be able to do that, Nina. The other item is scenarios. So it automatically shows the worst. And right below the worst scenario, it does have a brief description. So what this is telling us is that in the worst case, that at the first adjustment, it will go to that full ceiling amount. If we were doing a 225 product, the worst case would do 2%, 2%, 1%. It will just increase until it has reached that ceiling. So again, it's showing that bar the worst potential case. What we're going to do on the first product is show the best case. And the best case scenario is just having the interest rate move to the index plus margin. And that's how the APR is calculated, is based on index and margin. So here we're going to show the best case scenario. And now once we advance our screen, we come to our monthly costs, or our fees. And with the fees, you notice because we use that copy from, all my fees have populated over from that fixed rate product. So it copied everything, and the figures are an exact match. Then if I move to my monthly cost screen, you'll see that all that information is copied over as well, including my reserves and premium. So using those copy from buttons and defaults and product templates really will let you go faster and faster through Edge. So before we move on, let's save this as a template. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and keep that title as my template name. So 5-1 Arm Best. So with that, let's press OK. And in our worst case scenario, we'll actually use this template so I can show you how it works. So now let's add our third product, and let's change our title to reflect 5-1 Arm. So now let's, instead of the copy from, which is what I had showed you earlier, how to take the fixed, copy it over, and make it an ARM product, then we created an ARM template. So let's go ahead and choose my product template. It hasn't sorted yet, so I knew it was at the bottom of my list. So I'm selecting the 5-1, whoops, I should have put in that 350. Make sure you have the purchase price, and as soon as you select that 5-1 Best, take a look. I have my down payment, my interest rate, my term, and it's marked ARM. I'll also show you in our settings how you can clean up your ARM, your product templates, because I personally don't like keeping an interest rate in an ARM template because those do change, and it's very important to be able to place that on each product. But, you know, how you want to work it. But again, we'll go into settings and I'll show you how you can update that. Now, if we advance our screen, you'll notice all that ARM data is over. It's marked as best. Now let's change it to worst. Now we've made our change in our products, and that's how simple it is adding that second product. You'll see all the fees carry over as well as the monthly cost. So using product templates as well as that copy from function will definitely get you going through Edge a lot quicker in developing those presentations. So now the next screen we have, now if I hover my mouse over the products, you can see I have 3 jump outs, all my 3 presentation products. Now when I advance the screen in analysis, and this is where we're going to be working also with Edge Live. We're going to be changing our short-term analysis months from 5 years to reflect the change of interest rate, to see how that movement is. So right now, by showing 60 months, it's basically showing 3 fixed rate products. So we'll come back to the screen and show you how you'll be able to modify that a little bit more. Contact, just go ahead and fill in your contact information. We're doing a total cost analysis. We're keeping it there. You can see all the 3 products. We're also going to come back and remove a product so you can see how you can also do that with your borrower, Andrew, where you can do that through Edge Live and add and remove products as well. Payment notes. Payment notes in this area here, you just want to be able to put some kind of phrase about your estimated taxes and insurance. It's also an area where you can put a little bit more information if you like, as well as some kind of notes. And I'll show you where this goes ahead and displays on the presentation. And that's it. So that's all the data we have. You can keep going through the next 3 screens until it gets to the very last. Those are just review of the graphs. Always remember you can hover your mouse over presentation, click on preview, and it always takes you to the very last screen. So now you want to go ahead and put on your quote date. This box here, notify me when the report is viewed, that triggers the email alerts. This is what will go ahead and send you as well as your partner, if you filled out that partner email address, that will provide the alerts. So let's take a look at the preview. And you can see how we have our products set up easily. So now what I want to do is let's set up so we can start working on Edge Live. So we could discuss the products. I'm going to bring my mobile device over. Whoops, not yet. And let me go ahead. And then what I'm going to do is bring up the screen on the other hand side. And so we'll have actually the mobile device and two presentations on our screen. So for all you who want to follow along, I'm going to go ahead and copy the link and place it in the chat area. So this is the link of the presentation. If you haven't downloaded the app yet, you could go ahead and just go to your app store and do a search for Mortgage Coach. You can also take the link that I posted, send it to your email on your mobile device, and click on it that way, and it's rather easy. And that way it will take you directly to the app store to download the app. So anytime a borrower receives a link from you, they click on the link, it automatically guides them to download the app. So I'm going to go ahead and update my mobile with my link ID. So I have 1BP0E7. And then press done. I also want to point out on the mobile device, let's go back one screen real quick. You have a history button. And with that history button, if you click on it, it shows all the presentations you have viewed. So you'll be able to, if you wanted to check out which different borrower, you'll be able to see that. And you'll also be able to just quickly click on that link, pull up that presentation. Also, when we log into Edge, I'll show you with the mobile, show you how you can access the report there. So let's go ahead and bring this down, make it a little bit smaller. And for right now, I am going to minimize my question area. Let me just make sure there's no questions before I do that. Great. And then we'll go ahead and discuss Edge Live. So what I'm doing is you can see how I pasted my link to my presentation in a tab. This is how a borrower would receive it and view it. They click on I understand. And let's go ahead and split screens now. So let me go ahead and just one moment. There we go. Okay, and if someone could tell me real quick if you see both my screens, I have a presentation on each screen. If you don't mind, if someone can just put it in the question area that you see it. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, perfect. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so let's go ahead and minimize my GoToMeeting information. And let's take a look at the presentations. Okay, so with that, and I'm going to move the mobile over to the right-hand side. The right-hand side, I guess it wants to do its own thing. The right-hand side is the borrower's copy. And again, as I mentioned before, you look in the very middle. There's a clear all button on the left. There's not one on the right-hand side. You can see as I click on the graphs or my fields, I cannot highlight. So the borrower cannot highlight anything or do any changes at all to the presentation. But now let's show you how you can highlight and drive the presentation for the borrower. So you can see how I'm doing a highlight of a whole column, and all I'm doing is highlighting the title and clicking on the title, and it highlights the whole product. Click again and it removes that highlight, as well as that clear all button will clear out all your highlights as well. So now let's go ahead and take a look at our 5-1 best and 5-1 worst. So right here in our short-term savings, let's discuss that. So with the short-term savings of 60 months, you can see it's the exact same number because technically the 5-1 ARM product is the same product until that rate changes. You'll see that the fixed rate product is the highest cost loan. The interest rate is 4% versus 3. And when you click on that more info button, you could really see the numbers and why it's that way. So you can see how that interest has been accrued over that 60-month period as well as the closing costs. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move to 60 months. And what we're going to do is move it further out so we can see the effects of having that rate change. And this will show you really that Edge Live as well. So let me go back to Edge, and we're going to go ahead and modify the 60 months. Let's go to Edge. The short-term number of months is in the analysis screen, so I'm clicking on analysis. And now let's change that figure. So let's start with 7 years. So say the goal of your borrower is they plan to move within that 7-year period. So this gives the borrower the idea of how that rate will change and how what the effect would be in that long term. So you can see how on, I think I have the wrong product up. There we go, it changed so lovely. You can see how on the right-hand side my number automatically displayed. And now you'll notice that after 2 months of rate changes, or 2 years, that now the highest cost loan is that 5-1 worst. Because remember, at the 61st month, the rate went to 8%. So now let's take a look at that. So with that rate change, you can see how the interest over that time period for that worst case has really jumped. You can see that difference. Now, and this, what I'm going to do now with the 84 months, say you only want to look at 2 products and not look at that worst, or have that worst case hidden and bring it up when you talk to the borrower. What you could do is go to Edge, go hover your mouse over presentation, and I'm using, select report. In this screen, you can remove products. So say we don't want to have the 5-1 worst case on the presentation initially when you send it, but you want to have it built out so you can educate the borrower. So I just unmarked it. And always remember, anytime you make changes within Edge, you need to move left or right to make that save. Wow, that was quick on this one. So you can see how I just removed that product, and the presentation only displays 2 products. And then as you start talking with the borrower, you can always then mark that worst case and bring it up and discuss different ARM adjustments. So now also, just to show you, if I went to products and say on my fixed product, I don't want to put 20% down, but they only have 10% down. So you can remove or make changes like that. Before we do, want to point out a couple items. If we go into more info, you can see in the closing costs, the LTV, the percentage right there. So you can see that I have it at 80%. So now that I've made my adjustment, I also need to make sure I have mortgage insurance on it as well. So I'm opening that up, placing monthly mortgage insurance, and then go ahead and move. You'll notice that my loan amount changed. Let's go ahead and highlight it. And now if we go into the more info, you can see in the closing costs we're at 90% LTV versus 80%. So you'll be able to see how with those changes, how you can actually be on the phone with the borrower and drive the presentation, as well as making any kind of changes or updates, or even adding and removing products. So we do have video tutorials in our support center that talks about Edge Live more, but really it's just getting in and practicing. So just getting in and, like with me, having it on both screens and seeing those movements and the effect of what you do on your version versus how it's going to reflect on the borrower's copy.
I also want to point out really quick too, let's go ahead and put in our, back to our worst case scenario, which I thought was quite interesting, was the tip percentage. So let's discuss that really quick, is when we get our third product back on, is the first lien tip percentage. You can see how with a fixed rate, it's pretty constant. You got that lower interest rate, and the tip percentage is the total interest percentage. All it is the percentage of interest over that loan, over the loan term. So 72% for that fixed rate. Having that lower interest rate, it's 57.61. But when the rate adjusts, look at that percentage. It's pretty crazy. So this is a good comparison for the borrower looking at their different products. And this percentage really shows them best and worst, and really the comparisons, how extreme that interest rate can be. So I want to be able to point that out to you for that. 5-year cost is a little bit higher, only because remember we have it at 10% down. So with that, let's just go make apples to apples again. And what I'm going to do is also go back to one screen so I can bring the questions up. Oops. Okay, just one moment. Okay, I'm back to one screen. And let's see the questions. Okay, Andrew wants to go over tip again. Okay, cool. Let me bring this back. So the tip percentage is the total interest percentage over the life of the loan. So if we go back to our product, and we have that first lien tip. And what this also is, part of that loan estimate now is that tip percentage. It's on page 3. And this is a quick way of just viewing interest rates, the difference in your interest rate and how that movement is. So you can see with a 4% interest rate, the total interest, and remember this is over the 30-year period, the first lien tip percentage is at 72% of that loan amount. With it at 3%, you're paying 57.7%, and then when you're showing that 8% change, it really jumps. And this is just basically if you take your total interest of the loan and do the calculations, it's a very simple calc. So if you want more information on the tip, you could go ahead and email us at support. Also, that 5-year cost also is a quick way of looking at that. If you go into the more info, and if you label this at 60, because the 5-year cost is your total interest in MI and your closing costs. So this is a good way to be able to also see it and explain it to the borrower. So with those two items there. So now let's go to the mobile, and let's show you how you can use the mobile and record a video message. So bringing back up my mobile, let's go back to the home screen. So with that, and not only that, we can make it quite a bit bigger so you can see. Okay. So with a link, the link is always, you can send it as a text to a borrower or through an email. And what that link will do is, as I mentioned, direct the borrower to their app store as soon as they click on it and direct them to download this app. So with the Mortgage Coach app, it would go ahead and they click on it, the borrower can view it. There's a sample total cost analysis they can view. But where we're going to go today is that silhouette in the upper right-hand corner. And this is how you can log into your account through your mobile device. So let's click on the silhouette. And you can see how it's changed positions. So we want to go ahead and sign in. So you would just put in your email address and password that you use in Edge, sign in. And you can see today that I've had 2 reports that I've created, and I had 22 views. So thank you, everyone, for clicking on my links. So with those 22 views, it just gives you an idea of who's viewing your presentation, and you could be anywhere not in the office to get this information just by using your mobile. You can view your partner presentation, your client presentations, or your performance. We're going to dive into the clients, but first let's check out performance just to be able to see what that is. This can provide you just a quick glance of the performance, how many reports have been viewed. You could do clients versus partners, how many presentations, as well as month versus week. So little tool there for you, be able to take a look at that. Now let's look at clients. So we're going to go into our clients' presentations. So you have, you could pick from your recent clients, the recent presentations you've accessed. So you can see this one is the one I've been working on. And you also have a search. So if you don't see your file on the face, maybe you haven't talked to that borrower for a couple weeks, do a search. You can locate that presentation that way. So now let's go ahead and I'm going to click on the one I created. You could see how it's a total cost analysis or a seller buy down. We want to go ahead and choose total cost because that's what we're working with. And you have different items. You could view the presentation on your mobile. You could record the video. And you can do Edge Live. So let's first do the video. So I'm going to go ahead and click on video. Hi everyone, where's the camera? Hi. So with that, with the video, it's really quick to be able to just record your message. Also, if you're doing open house presentations, another item is to, you see that image right there? If you click it around, you can walk through open house and do conversations. And we have a couple loan officers who have given us their have provided us their videos, and they're actually quite incredible. So here you go. You just record and place your message on there. So I hope that, Andrew, shows you how to do that quick video recording on your mobile. And not only that, it's a great way of updating the borrower as well. So a lot of times people use their mobile device, re-record a message, so if there's items that are going on through that loan process, you'd be able to do a quick mobile if you instead of an email or giving them a call. So that's how you'd be able to create that video. And then the next thing, let's show Edge Live. And we're going to go back into the total cost analysis. And I'm going to go ahead and use live reporting. So with live reporting, what I'm going to do is take the borrower's presentation that I had on the right-hand side of the screen. You'll see that at the very base, there's no clear all button. I want to be able to show you how I could drive that report. So if I open up my presentation, and I'm going to go ahead and go to my closing costs. So with that, you'll notice behind it, my presentation opened up, and it opened to my closing costs. So say if I want to highlight, I can highlight items. It will also highlight for the borrower. And what I'm doing is just tapping on my mobile device to highlight. You'll notice in the upper right-hand corner, you have the clear all. So if you want to clear all your highlights at once, you'd be able to do that as well. So you can see how you could really dive into the mobile as well. To play back your message, Dave, you would just go to the presentation and listen to it that way. So with that, you got your clear all, and you can just be able to drive the presentation through the mobile this way. Also, at this point, you can't make any changes in with your presentation with your mobile. You have to actually log in with the desktop, make any kind of changes here. But you can drive the report and answer any questions on the mobile and be able to do it at any time. So it's really great access. And to let you know, we'll be having the mobile where you can do data entry in the future. So it is coming, we have heard. So with that, I am going to be wrapping up the call. Are there any questions that you have that possibly you would want some more information on or want me to review it again? While you put your questions in the question area, I want to go to our settings real quick where you can modify that product template we created. If we go to settings, go to product template, You can see all the different product templates that you have created. And I clicked on my template. You can see how all that data has carried over. Possibly I don't want my down payment because, again, it might be 5, 10, or 20. I don't want my interest rate populated because I want to make sure I have the correct details. ARM details, see how it's all defaulted. You can modify it. You can see how that margin is also defaulted, as well as that index percentage. It is tied to the LIBOR, and the percentage will be updated when you use it. Again, you have your monthly costs. This is a great way of using templates so you're not keying in that monthly percentages each time. And then you can also tie your closing cost details to your product template, or you can remove it and pull it from the drop-down when you access Edge. So this is how you maintain those product templates. And if you're on an enterprise account, if you see ARM templates in when you're working in Edge, but you do not see them in your settings under product template tab, that's because they're at the corporate level. You'll never see corporate product templates in your tabs here. Okay, let's see if we have any. Oh, great, Nina. Definitely, it's more or less just getting in Edge and practicing. And as you start working with it, we always say create 5 presentations. You have files, just reproduce different loan scenarios. You're familiar with that data, create the presentation. Once you hit 10, it's going to become really comfortable. It's like anything you do, the more you work with it, the easier it becomes and the more you understand it. Okay, when will there be a presentation on first and second liens? We do have something in our assets that you can look at, but we can always, like items like that, Nina, if you ever want to see a presentation on how it's built, just let us know. We can always show it on our QA Thursday. So next week I'll try to arrange something for first and second lien. But just to show you, if you go into settings, oops, the help button, maybe, we'll go there. You see how it takes you directly to our support center. We have all the different video tutorials here, but we also have a search engine. So let's see, let's just do second lien and do a search on it. So you can see how to do a current second lien mortgage, how to resubordinate a second lien, and also how to enter silent seconds, so for those CHAPA or those type of loans. So there's so many different scenarios, and what we could do is next week we could focus on how to do a second lien, also how to do the 80-10-10 using a HELOC. So I hear HELOCs are getting big as well, so we could go ahead and design next week. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for today. Thank you so much for attending. If you have any questions, please email us at support, and we'll assist you. And I'll be on the line for a few more minutes if you have any kind of questions. So great, Nina. We'll go ahead and focus on that next week. Thank you, everyone. You're welcome, Edward. And Andrew. Okay, I don't see any other questions, so we're going to go ahead and end the call. Thank you again. We'll see everyone on next Thursday. Have a good day.